What's up, and welcome to episode 6 of How to Make a Knife. I'm Mike with Alpha Blade and Forge.
Steve, Cutter Fabrications. What's going on, man?
Not a lot, buddy. Not a lot.
Got,
It was a
got
nice
some work done
weekend.
this week. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a beautiful weekend and got some work done, so that feels good. Feeling on par for the show. We're about a couple weeks out, 4 weeks out now, something like that. But I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling like I got some stuff lined up. I got 21 knives hardened up yesterday, so that definitely makes me happy.
Yeah. For anyone following Cutter, he was very busy this weekend. I love seeing the knife come out of the kiln in the foil, and the knife kind of glows through it.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing. So, yeah, you must be feeling good. You got a lot of hardened blades there.
Yep. Getting a couple of them, sending 5 out to get tested tomorrow, so I'll have some results back on that. I'm shooting between the 60 to 63 range for them, so yeah, man, should be cool.
Nice. I had a very busy weekend as well. I hardened a bunch of knives also. I also prepped up enough handles to make probably like 20 knives. I just went out of control, cut as many as I can. I picked out liners for them. A lot of them I'm going to do composite materials. So the bottom half will be wood, the top half will be micarta or G10 or something like that. So I was having a lot of fun with that today while everything was tempering.
Cool. Yeah.
But yeah, so nothing's really getting assembled yet. I typically don't scratch my knives to check hardness, but because of the show coming, I did. And all of my culinary knives were at the 60. So when I rubbed 60 on it, I wasn't really getting any bite whatsoever, which made me happy. My 2 bread knives did get a little bite on 60, but when I went down to 55, there was no bite. So I'm somewhere in between there. Thank God it's on the bread knives. Yeah. So anything, it's totally fine. So I'm happy with all of that as well. We're on par, man. We're doing it.
Yeah, man. Awesome. That's good shit. Good to hear it, man. Good to hear it. It's always nice to have a nice productive week, especially with the knife show coming up, man. It's like it's tough when you work full time.
Yeah, it's been looming over my head, and I come home from work and I gotta kind of tell myself, like, just don't go run out to the garage. You got the family, you got other things to do. Even Saturday, I really couldn't get out there. I had to install a sink. The kids wanted to go to get their friends and go down to the park, and it's all these things where I gotta I'll find time, even if I stay up late the next 2 weeks or whatever, but I can't affect the family for the show. So
yeah.
It's a tough balance.
Yep, stuff to balance work, and I mean, as of right now, this is still technically hobby for us. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, if I could argue,
like, we're trying to make a whole lot of money with. No.
yeah, which is kind
of
of
make a living with at least.
Yeah. That's actually what we'll get into later on in the show. Good foreboding.
Exactly.
But but I did learn something as I'm prepping all these knives. Is I found out where I enjoy working on knives the most and where I dislike working on knives the most. So what I mean is when I'm profiling and stamping and quenching my knives, I'm having a blast. It's my favorite thing to do. Then it comes to beveling, and I hate beveling. There's something about just grinding a bevel in that I avoid. But then once the bevel's in, the handle work, I'm back in it. I love it. So it was interesting to see that beveling is where I hate it.
Interesting. I don't mind the beveling at all. That's one of my favorite parts, actually, because it kind of starts to bring the knife alive, for me.
Oh shit! Maybe we team up. You bevel all the knives. I'll put handles on them. Is there anything you dislike, like hand sanding the handle or?
I don't know anybody who likes hand sanding. So I mean, obviously, I definitely don't enjoy the hand sanding part, but it's not my. I like seeing the knife come alive. I mean, My least favorite part is really the downtime that comes with it. Um, there's a lot of downtime, and what I mean by that is there's a lot of waiting time. Tempering, that's 4 hours with an hour in between cooling time. That's 5 hours right there.
Yeah.
Um, things like that. But the hand sanding would probably be my least favorite,
Yeah.
and some of the tedious handle work I don't really like, but once the handle's like kind of on there or at least ready to go on there, I'm a little happier.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate hand sanding blades, obviously. I've taken it out of my equation altogether, but hand sanding a handle is one of my favorites. It's just,
I don't
watching that
mind it, yeah.
wood smooth out. Oof,
hmm
yeah. I love that shit. But, all right, so you're on par for the show. Everything's looking good. I know you said you got a room already, and it's happening,
I don't
man.
got a room yet, but I'm gonna look this week probably or
Okay.
whatever, this week or next week. I looked a little bit. They're around 100. They were around $100, a little over something like that. So it's worth it for me,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that
especially if
that
I'm gonna
ride
stay
home.
up late watching
Yeah.
UFC 300.
Who's fighting? Who's fighting in that?
There's a couple of decent fights, but mainly Jim Miller's fighting, so
Okay.
that's the one I want
Yeah.
to watch.
I don't know shit about any of that. I enjoy watching the highlights, but I don't follow that at all.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
will
it's a
watch
lot.
that Logan Paul and Mike Tyson fight. I'll check that shit out.
Yeah. I think it's Jake Paul this time. Logan Paul fought him already or some shit. I think. I don't know.
Oh,
Whatever, dude.
yeah. I don't
Whatever.
Yeah, you'll get me with the gimmicks. Anything to watch Mike Tyson fight, that's always an interesting
Yeah, I
scenario.
guess. I guess
They got me. They fucking got me.
they got you, man. Yeah, yeah. So what else you got working on? Anything new you're working on for the show or?
No, honestly, my biggest thing is getting all of the basics down. I got to get my veggies in. I just need more paring knives, fillet knives, kitchen
Mhm. Gotcha.
nothing fun. Everything I'm working on now is just to get inventory, which is kind of a bummer because I want to do another folding knife. Um,
Yeah.
I want to try a little tomahawk, and there's things I want to do for myself, but I know I need to have an inventory. So do everything that I need to do, and I'll have fun afterwards. We'll celebrate
Exactly. Yeah.
afterwards with some stuff. But yeah, any work on the sorteroonie over there?
No, I same thing. I know I needed to get stock in first,
Yeah,
so I didn't buy that piece of steel for that reason yet because I knew once I had it, that's all I'm gonna fucking work on. So I was like,
yeah,
let me get my other shit done, and then I can work on handles during the week, get everything beveled and handled up during the week, and get back onto that, or not back onto it, get that samurai sword in here and get that steel in here and get going on that. The old
yeah,
katana there.
yeah. Man, maybe I attempt a sword after this, and if I do attempt a sword, I would consider making the Harry Potter sword of Gryffindor replica,
Okay.
something real nerdy like that.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, I'll look into that because I don't think the sword's that large either. I think it's. I mean, I'm sure it's just a 2-foot blade, maybe slightly larger. So I might be able to work it out like that.
Yeah.
Quench tank though, that's what I need to get a bigger quench tank, or
Yeah.
just fill up some PVC for a one-time thing. Fuck it.
Yeah. Figured out. I'll probably wind up making one for mine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy though. You got that metalwork mentality, just weld some stuff up, boom.
Yeah. I just weld something on the end of a tube. Call it a day.
There you go. Yeah. Love it. Well, listen, man, we're gonna get into the hardest and shittiest talk any knife maker will ever have here. This is the one thing that a knife maker will dodge all day, any day, if you're talking to them, and that is pricing. Um,
Yeah. One of the hardest things to do.
yeah. So ultimately, you can talk to a knife maker, and he will offer all of the advice he can on what he does for finishing, what kind of material he likes, how he tempers stuff, what, if he anneals and bevel angles. He'll tell you anything he can. But if you mention pricing, suddenly he's bobbing and weaving, dancing, I don't know, this and that. And there's two reasons for it that I've learned. And one of them is there's such a vast price difference between makers that saying a price can immediately turn off a customer or immediately make a customer think that it's cheaper value than what it is. The other thing is, as a knife maker, sometimes you have doubt in not your product, but the value of your product. Because as these knife makers are asking for $2,000 for some knives, you need to be able to justify the down payment on a vehicle. That's really what 2,000 can be, So
yeah,
there's that justification where their self-doubt sometimes is like, well, I'd rather you see the knife before we talk prices. That way you know that it's worth it. And so it's a weird talk. Have you ever tried talks? Do you understand pricing on knives? What's your view on all of this?
I mean, it's I didn't really ever talk to anybody about it. No. I kind of just tried to figure a lot of things out on my own. That's what I've always done, I guess. And it really took me a while, man. And it was basically a lot of testing too, like all that testing really was a way to ensure, like, okay, like, is this actually worth somebody buying, So, that does add peace of mind, getting the hardness testing every once in a while does add peace of mind. Things like that add peace of mind. But at the end of the day, like, coming up with the pricing it's your own thing, man. You can take advice from other people, I feel like, but what did you put into it? You know what I mean? I might be able to make a knife in 4 hours, and you might be able to make that same knife in 2 hours. You know what I mean? Whatever, like, whoever. Some people might be faster. There's so many different aspects that could go into pricing that make it
forged
extremely
from bar
difficult.
stock? Like, did they forge it out?
Yeah.
Was it the what do you call it? Where you cut it out of stock removal?
Stock removal. Yeah,
that affects a lot of the price right there, and it doesn't change the outcome of the knife for the most part. So there is a lot. All right, so let's go over some pricing of well-known knife makers. Let's see where these ballparks land, what exactly the market is. So I guess let me pull up a few knife makers here. Some of my favorites that are handmade from start to finish, some of them that are kind of handmade but also mass produced, and then some of them that are just mass produced and available to the masses. So my first knife maker that I ever tried to buy a knife from was Mike Jones Knife and Tool. I love how clean and basic they look. I love that his stamp is a little smiley face. His handles look very comfortable and clean. And he's my motivation. Well, he's one of the two motivating makers for me. And when I went to go buy his knife, he has stainless chef knives for $700, $600 for a 6-inch chef knife, $600 for a stainless fillet knife. Now, the handles are absolutely beautiful. A lot of them are stabilized wood and resin. Some of them are all resin. He has a paring knife for $420, $400. There is a full knife set for $1,400, $700 for a kitchen buddy. So we're shooting between $400 to $600, let's say, for most of his knives. Now, that's kind of the basic. If you are expecting to buy a handmade knife, I would say that those are, for mono steel blades, the price range, 4 to 6, 4 to 8. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty normal. And also, just so in case anybody doesn't know what he means by mono steel, that just means it's a single piece of steel. It's not Damascus, it's not San Mai. It's just one piece of steel.
Yeah.
But I would agree. I think that seems to be the going price for mono steel chef's knives. Now, are his knives hidden tang or full tang or a mix of both?
They are 99% full tang. He has different handle materials, but they are all similar shaped. One solid piece of material with 2 pins in them on a full tang. And
Awesome.
yeah, gorgeous stuff. I think I wanted to mention him first because I think that is kind of the standard for what we're trying to do here. Because as we move forwards, there will be more art styled knives that are higher priced, obviously, and there will be more accessible knives. But he tends to be right in the middle of it all, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So that's the first knife maker I ever looked into, and he's actually what made me start making knives because I said, "Oh fuck, I can't spend that money on a knife. I'll make my own." And not that the price is overpriced. That's the problem too. Okay, why we're talking pricing is like just because that price is a lot of money does not mean it's too expensive or overpriced or anything like that. And again, and I said in a different episode is if you go to get a tattoo, get ready to pay $400 to $800, the exact same price as this knife, except it's just getting put onto your arm instead of something you could bring into the kitchen. So always keep that in mind too. Now, the next knife maker that I wanted to buy from was Neil Kamimura. For anybody who knows Neil Kamimura, he was on Forged in Fire. He is now kind of like a celebrity to the knife world. He hand forges everything up in Hawaii. It is an absolute pleasure just to watch him work. All of his knives are, for the most part, Damascus, or he does this gorgeous forged look where he literally forges it into shape, and only the edge, the bevel, gets grinded in, and it's brute to forge, I believe, is what they call it.
I think so. Yeah.
He puts unique handles on it. I mean, they're as gorgeous as it gets. So I was like, I told my wife once I got into knife making, I'm making it. I said, listen, I'm going to sign up to the thing. And for Christmas for myself, I'm buying myself one of his knives. It's happening. I'm getting his list and we're doing this. And then I got the email for his drop and all of the blades were $2,000 plus. And I almost shit my pants and I immediately backed off on it. And I said, okay, well, we'll just keep on watching him on Instagram. Again, not because they're not worth it. I mean, they are the coolest they can get, but it's art. At that point, you're paying for art more than anything. And it's worth it. But
it's all about what you're into, man. You want to go buy that $5 picture from Walmart and hang it on the wall? You can. You want to go buy the $5,000 piece of art from, the guy in New York City? You can. Same thing with us. You can go buy that $5 fucking knife from Target, or come to guys like us. Come to real bladesmiths.
Yeah.
Very more well money, put. But it's,
Yeah, very well put. That is a great way to put it. Yeah. So that's it. That's the range now. And at this point, because again, you can't really talk to knife makers, and it's not like Neil is putting on his website, hey, get ready for the next $2,000+ knives coming out.
Yeah.
So at this point in my knife making career, these are the only 2 prices I've seen. And I was kind of panicking because I'm like, I'm never going to ask anyone for that much money. I don't know what to do here. And then I went to the knife show, and I don't know how much I really want to, because again, people are weird about the pricing. So I won't say the makers' names, but one of my favorite makers that's going to be at the PA Knife Show, he does premier style knives. They are very similar to what Neil Kamimura is doing, or Malamasi Fire Arts, where it is more art styled. And when you get there, his knives are $1,300 to $1,800, depending on whether they're the Gomai or, Damasteel, like the top of the top. Like, again, the Damasteel, which is stainless steel Damascus, which is the cutting edge of the knife world right now. People are really going crazy on that. And he's got him there, as good as it can look, for just under 2,000. And it's wild, you know, setting up next to this guy and being able to see what he's holding. A lot of them are hidden tang handles, similar to your style or similar to a traditional hidden tang. And woof, baby, it's good. Now I'm going to actually say, if you're using Damascus or Damasteel or any of these high pattern needs to get etched blades, you kind of want to do a hidden tang, right? That way you use less steel, right? Because having 50% of your steel covered by a handle scale is kind of a waste of material, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you still need to leave some that goes into the tang at least. But I mean, at the same time, it's really, you know, personal preference. But yeah, I probably would. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, when I do my full tang Damascus, like I had said, is you have to finish that handle scale perfectly before you glue it on. Because once it's glued on, it's not like you could reshape anything. Everything's already etched. Everything's already coffee stained. And when that handle goes on, that is what it is. So
yeah,
good luck.
Exactly.
But all right. So yeah, so there's another high-end one. And then after the show, one of the knife makers told me about a knife podcast called Knife Talk. And this was my first time I ever listened to a knife podcast. And one of the guys on there is Fader Knives. Jeff Fader, and it's also Chopped Knives and Malmasi Fire Arch. So those are the three guys on the podcast. And I looked through all of them right now. Chopped is doing music more than making knives right now. So Malmasi is similar to Neil Kamamura, 2,000 to 4,000. His stuff is wild. That's all great. But I want to highlight Fader Knives. Fader seems to be right on par with what I've always kind of said, where he wants his prices low enough for everybody to purchase. And his focus is making a really cool, bright styled handle in order to kind of, you know, bring the value instead of these high level Damascus and, you know, integral bolster, hammered in forges. And so his knives here range anywhere from, let's see, for the Tiger Barb paring knife, they're only $150. The stainless are $299. Let's see, the 151 is a stainless, but it's just belt finished. Okay, so he's charging more if you don't want belt finished. Belt finished is $150. And then a polished one is $299. So let's notice right here that just by hand sanding it to a satin, he charged an extra $150. He doubled the price of the knife for hand sanding. So anyone who doesn't think hand sanding is an issue, this man doubled his price just because he had a hand sand. So keep that in mind when you see a well-handed sanded knife. All right, so 6-inch utility knives are $375. An 8-inch K-tip chef's knife is $520. So he seems to be the lowest knife maker that I've seen. Decent prices. That's something I would almost purchase myself.
Yeah.
I like his stuff. I've got to say, he's one of my favorite makers. He's who inspired me to make my bread knife. I had seen him with an offset bread knife, and I was like, all right, let me go for it. So shout out to Fader Knives for being the fella who's keeping the prices down and doing what he's got to do. But still, I just asked a guy I work with. He saw the knife on my hip. He was like, hey, you made that? I said, yeah. And I pull it out and I show him and everything. And just out of curiosity, because I did want to have this conversation with you, I asked him, how much would you pay for this knife? And how much do you think the knife would be worth? So he said, I bet it's probably worth 40 to 50. I'd be willing to pay about 30 for it. And yeah, I had the same face that you just made. So that's just to someone who's never seen these prices before. That is the idea of like $50 for a knife means it's going to be a damn good knife, you know?
You got to be into this shit, man. Like to want it. Like, I mean, yeah, you're not going to be your average day guy who's carrying a buck knife in their pocket, you know, carrying that Walmart special CRKT in their pocket.
Right.
I don't know.
I know. And, you know, I told him, I was like, well, this one, actually, if I was to sell it, would be 140. And, you know, you can see he was a little taken back, and it is what it is. But,
yeah.
So then let's go to Spyderco. Spyderco is a company that's mass produced. You can buy things on a budget there. Their flipper knives, so their folders are anywhere from $200 to about $350, which is a pretty good price for something that's flipped, something that has mechanical parts to it. Let's see, fixed blades for them are anywhere from, I mean, they got some $35, $70. Ooh, see, now they have this nice knife called the Bow River, and it's $70, and it looks gorgeous. We got a Fish Hunter here for $196. I mean, these are fairly priced knives, and they all seem to be pretty darn good. And so Spyderco is the main company that I know of when I, you know, want to look at like a mid-range mass-produced knife.
Yeah.
Still nothing really under 100. There was one knife under 100, but it's all pretty much still over 100. And I believe most of their stuff is stainless.
Yeah, most of those production made flippers are going to be stainless steel almost every time.
Yeah.
But all right, so I guess enough about what everybody else charges. Let's talk about us now. Like what got you into figuring out your price? Like how did you do it? How did you figure yours out? Or how do you do it? Or do you still not even know? Because I still sometimes I'm still kind of like
Yeah. So okay. So I'm gonna give away all of my information. There's nothing I need to hide about the cost of my knives or the price.
Yeah, I don't have anything to hide either.
Yeah.
I have a. I'll tell you after you're done, but I have like a set foundation, and when I alter it as I need to.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I'm curious to hear that. Okay, so let me just explain how I do it. Is I have a motto that's kind of like I don't want to charge more than 200. 200 is where I will put a knife that I put a lot of work into, and hopefully, you know, that's fine. The only times that I break that is if I'm using Damascus, if I'm using Sanmai, or anything that's not a mono steel. But typically, my knives are going to be a 1084 carbon steel. So I worked out the price of my knives, what it actually cost me. Now, I'm not including the tools I'm using. I'm not including the, you know, the fact that I'm running my belt sander, and eventually that's going to need to get maintained. So tool wise, I don't put any of that into my cost. I'm talking strictly materials. So the steel itself, because I buy bulk and local, I can get it about $15 for the blade. And we're talking a basic kitchen knife. Just picture a basic kitchen knife. It's about $15 for the steel. The handle, if I'm using a value piece of wood, stabilized wood off of a chunk, I cut it nice and thin. That's about $15 also. Now, when I'm doing the resin pine or anything like that, that's $40 for the handle. So that's a big change. That's an extra $25 right off the bat.
Very big change.
The material. The pins and the glue come out to about $5 if you spread it across how many knives it takes. I can get out of a pin and glue. I charge for one belt of a 36 grit every knife I make, because although I'm not chewing down an entire 36 grit, I am now chewing down my 80, my 120, my 220. So I'm using a bunch of belts, but I just charge one belt for that. Then I have to run propane and the temper and everything like that. So I put $5 in because the propane gets expensive. And then lastly, I charge for half of a cutting wheel. Cutting wheels are not that expensive for my 4.5-inch grinder. But I do go through a lot of wheels. So I say $2-3 for that. That takes me to about $50 to $60 a knife is what it costs me out of pocket just to throw all the material on the table. And then if I do a Kydex case, it'll go up to about $70. If I start sanding, I add about $10 to $20. Now, keep in mind, I'm adding 10 to 20. Fader Knives added 150.
150.
150. And I was told because I'm always asking people prices. I'll push that button when I talk to a knife maker. I was told charge $50 per grit you move up. So if you're doing, you finish on a belt at 120 and you push it up to whatever, add 50. They want it up to 500, add another.
Who said that?
Actually, a guy at the Steel Baron, the New Jersey Steel Baron. When I was walking around, one of the guys there had explained that to me when they were showing me the knife shop in the back there. So, yeah, I know. Yeah. The same fella who told me about the cost of a tattoo to the cost of a knife. So he had a lot of
interesting. Okay. Yeah.
But
interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So ultimately, my knives come to about, let's say, 60 to 70. I'm trying to charge for a basic kitchen knife. At the show, I'm going to list my kitchen knives for $160. So I'm charging $100 for the knife. Now, let me just break down on time for how long it takes to make these. It takes me about an hour to profile a knife, to get it cut out, profiled properly, comfortable in hand, sanded, rounded, get some holes drilled into it. It takes me about a half hour to heat it up, stamp it, and quench it. Then we go through the temper system, which is a 5-hour system. Then I
every time.
Every time. So I try to do 4 knives at a time. That way you kind of bulk it up, but you
bare minimum, yeah.
Yeah. And then you spent 4 hours prepping these 4 knives to get the quench. So we got that. They're out of the temper. The bevel and grind takes me about an hour. I do not want to overheat my blade. I want to make sure everything's nice and even. I spend time on it. I take an hour. To get the handle on, to get it profiled, cut, and ready to get glued on is about a half hour. Takes about a half hour to glue it up. I use 5-minute fast healing epoxy, so in an hour, I can start finishing it up. And then after that, it takes me about a half hour to just sand everything down and, polish it all up, maybe put an edge and oil it. So overall, it takes me 4 to 5 hours of active working time and about 6 hours of downtime. Broken apart 2 days, that's a significant amount of time for one knife. Now you take the $100 that I'm making and you divide it by 5, and I'm getting about $20 an hour for myself.
Yep.
Now that is not to make up for if something goes wrong, if any of my tools go down, anything gets fucked up. So that's where my pricing is. I'm cut down to, I make $20 an hour and it takes me 2 days to make a knife.
Yeah. Yep. And that makes sense. That your numbers are very close to mine, time wise and all that shit, and money wise, what it costs to make a knife. And you're right there, right next to me. But yeah, man, the only real way to actually make money in this business is to be efficient. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is make as many knives as you can at a time, and sometimes it sucks, and that's kind of like one of the things I'm going to get away from. I'm going to get away from customs this year, and I'm only going to do drops that are 10 or more, 15 or more knives, and I'm going to make basically what I want to make this year. I'll probably definitely do a couple one-offs like the swords and stuff like that. I'll do some one-offs here and there, some one-off chef's knives and stuff like that. But like at the same time, I'm trying to jumpstart a real business, and for me to do that, I have to be efficient and make 10 knives at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not efficient for me to make a custom. Hey man, I want one knife just like this, and this. I'm gonna have to say no for this year. I think this year I want to try to make money, and I think the way to make money is make as many as I can.
Yeah, the books are closed, fellas. Books are closed. But all right, break it down for me. What is your actual cost, and what is your time? I'm curious because, like I said, I'll lay mine out like an open book, but it's
I mean,
I want to know others.
I didn't quite break mine down exactly how you did yours. I didn't break it down at the half hour per hour,
yeah,
things like that. But over the course of time, like I kind of, I figured out the same. It's about 5 to 6 hours for me to make a knife, and around $60 to $80 in materials. Sometimes a little bit more depending on which stainless I'm using. But yeah, about $60 to $80 in materials. And then I kind of created this baseline for myself where I would do about $35 an inch for mono steels. It took me a while to figure this out. I did this a while ago, so I don't even remember exactly how I got these numbers, but it was all based off of, time and cost and everything. And I still tweak it every once in a while. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is like if I'm just going to do a brushed finish, that's going to be cheaper than a mirror polish finish. Things like that. Like if I'm just going to do a blasted finish, that's going to be very similar probably to your brush finish, because I'm basically brushing it before I sandblast it. Things like that. And my handles. So I go about $25 an inch for a mono steel, or $35 an inch for mono steels. And then I go about $20 to $50 for the handle. And if it's getting a sheath, that's an extra $50, just because that price went up a little bit because I started using like these better clips. So these Ulti clips are actually made for concealed carrying firearms.
Yep.
So they're very, very strong clips. You can hang your knife upside down on your backpack, and it's not going anywhere. And that's kind of why I wanted to get these, because myself at least, I'm going to be hucking it through the woods with this thing. I might be on an e-bike riding a couple miles back. I might be just be hiking a couple miles during turkey season, and I might not be wearing this thing on my waist. I might be having it hang somewhere where I can't necessarily feel it, and I don't want it to fall off. So
yeah, nice.
I got these good Ulti clips. But yeah, I mean, so like I said, I'm about $60 to $80 in materials, about 5 to 6 hours per knife. My mono steels $35 per inch, so that would be about, for an 8-inch blade, it'd be about $280, plus $20 if I if I mirror finish it, and $20 to $50 for handle material and things like that. So based on that math, this thing I'd be selling this for about $350, which I don't think that's going to be the price tag on it for the show. But that's like one of the things that like I kick myself in the ass about. Like I came up with this system, and it's pretty good to the point where I'm making about the same, about $20 to $25 an hour, on a good day.
Yeah.
On these knives, but at the same time, like, is this like I personally think this is a $300 knife. It's worth $300, but like I don't know. I guess I'm gonna find out at the show.
Yeah,
We'll see what the price tag, the final price tag I put on it. I don't think I'm gonna put the $350 price tag on it, but
listen, you could always list the full 350, and if someone's showing any interest, just be like, but like shows doubt, hey, take 40 off, take 20 off, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. But I mean, put it up there because again, you're putting up your knife prices to the 600, 800, you know, 1200, 1800 other knives that they're going to be walking past. So
Yeah,
don't,
that's true.
this is a safe place to put the prices that you actually want to ask for, because people
True.
walking in there are not like my coworkers who are going to be like, oh, that's $40, right? Like they know,
Yeah,
they
that's
fucking know
true.
what a knife
They're
price
going
is.
in there knowing what they're looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, and something that looks as absolutely finished and clean as that knife, ask that price, man. And again, like I said, like people are gonna show interest, and if they show interest but aren't gonna buy it, you can offer a lower price, anything you can afford, but don't sell yourself short. I
Yeah.
I'm let me sell myself short, okay? But don't you be doing that. It's fucking, but no, that's a good way to work it. And honestly, I need to find a way to add a little bit of value to mine, but I'm going to do that in 2025. 2024 is about me doing my final push to get as many knives out as possible.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely what I'm doing this year too. That's why I'm, going to be slightly skeptical about all that stuff, all the pricing and stuff. But at the same time, like I do know I'm making high quality stuff. I know, especially once it comes back from the hardness testing and all that stuff, and just all the fucking hell I put some of these blades through in just the past year alone, man. Like I beat the hell out of that Nitro V and CPM stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I know I'm putting out good products. Um,
Yeah. But
it's
the
just getting them
price,
out there, getting them in the hands of people, and getting people to know about it, to know about me.
yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Getting people to know about Cutter Fabrications, dude.
Yeah.
Cutter Fabrications, dude.
Cutter Fabrications. Fuck yeah. No, that's just it. And it's funny because even you could have the biggest name in knife making. Like you could be a Neil
Yeah.
Kamimura, and still at the end of the day, if you aren't privy to what these prices are, you see that price and you're gonna shit your pants a little bit, you know? It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, well
Dude,
then it's not for
when I
you then.
wanted good knife, man, the dude, what got me into knife making? I wanted a good ass knife.
Yeah.
I wasn't about to spend no $400, dude. I was like, shit, dude, I fucking make that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I got into the door more for the art of it. And then when I realized how expensive it all is, I want to personally produce effective, cheap tools. And yet, my favorite shit is the art styles of it. The people who are hammering meteorite into their blades and using mammoth bone and mammoth tooth as their handles. Like, that's what I look at all day, but
Yeah,
it's not
but
what I do.
you don't like that copper my then, dude.
No, dude, fuck, fuck the copper mine. It's so funny. A buddy of mine just sent me this guy smelting down all this copper. He's like, dude, you should make a copper knife. And I was like, first off, you can't harden copper. And second off, are you fucking trolling me? Because I don't want copper in my blades. But I don't know. It looks cool. You know, oh man, I just saw where they had this, copper gomai, and the copper was there was flame shapes, and the copper was just like speckled in the flames, and it literally looked like it was on fire. It was the
That's pretty
gnarliest
cool.
looking thing in the world. Oh, I'll send it to you later on today because it is worth just seeing. Baker Forge, of course, because they're the pioneers of this all.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, fucking copper and blades. Get that out of there. But I don't know, man. It's fun though. It's fun going through this and actually just verbalizing the prices and everything because it is what it is. And
Yep,
we just
definitely.
we just we just wrote off our prices. Now imagine you're paying $70 for the material and you're trying to run a business with employees. How can you not charge $600 for a blade? Like
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's kind of why I don't know if I'd really ever try to get into employees. The only way I'd probably ever try to get employees is if I got into, uh, I don't know, I don't know. I'd have
yeah,
to get
if
into like other stuff.
yeah, if like organically you just started getting so many orders that it's like, listen, I'll bring up my prices, and then you bring up the prices, and you're still selling out on orders. And it's like, okay, well, now that I have all this extra money, let me get someone else in here, and then I can produce more. And I guess organically, I see how you get an employee or two, but it's not one of those things you just hire someone. It's like, okay, now we're going to make our name. It's like, no, you got to do all that by hand, solo, by yourself the whole time. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting thing because for my job personally, like I'm an electrician and I work union, and there is no negotiation for my price. I don't have to sell myself to anybody. I show up on the job site, and by contract, you're paying me my pay, and I'm getting my breaks, and I have my my benefits, and there is no point in my life where I've ever had to value my cost, and I get paid a lot of money as an electrician, and now suddenly I'm doing just as hard work, but I'm charging $20 an hour for myself, in working in freezing cold conditions with my fingers ripped open because I can't fucking stop touching my belt, It's just an interesting thing, and it proves that anyone who's doing this is doing it for passion more than money.
For the love of it, dude. Yeah. Dude, us most knife makers are working fucking minimum wage, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where the volume comes in. If you can make in that 6 hours, if you can make 6 knives, that's where you're fucking making money, dude.
Yeah. And that's where you have
to do a little bit, glue one up, put that aside, I start gluing the next one, I always try to set myself up where I'm a kind of like a production line. You know what I mean? Just so I can make the hours worth it. Because if I just made one knife in that 6 hours, like, oof, I'm not making a lot of money. If I can make 3, cool. If I can make 6, cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you have to find that way to use up every minute. Like today, once I finished quenching the last of my knives, as soon as I put it in the temper, I couldn't work on any of them. So I started cutting all the handle material and bringing them inside. Now, like I had said, my stabilized wood, I cut it all into pieces and I brought it inside. That way, if there is any moisture in it, it dries up because I don't want to have any fucking issues. So that's what I did is I got them all ready. I brought them inside. I'll keep them inside for a week before I glue anything up. But that was something where I had downtime, start working on some handles, even if I don't use them. Got to do it.
Yep. Find something to do.
Yeah, I like it. And, my hardest problem too is like when I go to that garage to work, I am not sober. I love having a beer or two before I go out there. Because once I get my mask on, I can't drink. So like I'll fucking chug 1 or 2 to get ready. And I like a nice fat bowl before I get out there, put the music on because you got to wear earbuds because everything's so loud.
Yeah,
so
you don't want to hear all that shit going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I find myself sometimes by my own accord when I should be effectively working on something else, I'll just, follow my whims where suddenly now I forged the Sanmai the one day when I wasn't supposed to, but like I was in there and I was feeling good. And I was like, yo, I want to do this.
Sometimes, man, like you do something quicker than you think, and you just got to find something to do, man. Or it's waste of time.
Yeah. No, I got to ask: are you an organized soul? Like, is your workshop set up pretty evenly, or is it a trash?
So, it's fucked, but there could be a mound of shit on my workbench, but I'll know exactly where everything is in that mound of shit. If that's organized. I don't know if that really means you're organized, but like, yo, you could be looking at my bench and like I said, there's a pile of shit. Somebody will be like, oh, like where's the fucking Sharpie, dude? I'll be like, oh, dude, yeah, it's under that rag next to the drill bit on the left. Yeah.
Yes.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, man. I've
but I'll clean up. Like after a big rush, I'll clean up and like I'll do a big cleanup. But like, for the most part, it's just there until I get to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not cleaning up at all until after the show. I'm not spending a day to clean
Oh
up. If I'm in
no.
there, I'm working. So like right now,
Yeah, I'm
mine
working.
looks like the Sahara of shavings. Like I literally have dunes of steel and dust and wood and everything on tables. I'll send you some fucking pictures. So to make you feel better about your shop.
Yeah, no. Well, mine's not too bad right now because I got to share it with my buddy right now. But my basement where I'm working, I do like some handle work and shit like that. It's all right.
Yeah. 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 Listen, anyone follow Alpha Blade and Forge. And this week I'll post the shit show that is my garage right now, just so everyone knows we're out here
All
struggling.
right. Well, we're just about an hour, dude. Anything cool you're gonna be trying to get done this week, or just some normal stuff, or?
So I'm kind of dreading redoing my next bread knife. I have the ability to make 2 more bread knives for the show. But it's such a long blade that grinding down the bevels takes longer than most of my knives. And then the serrations obviously are going to take extra time also. So I'm kind of dreading it. So because I don't want to do it, I'm going to force myself to get that done this week. That way the rest of my stuff is, things I'm more comfortable on, I'm more excited about, and just kind of get the hard shit done first. That way I can sail the end of it.
Yeah.
How about you? Going to try to get all those hardened knives beveled and ready, or other plans?
Yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do there. I'm also gonna look into some ways to get this Nitro V black, so I can maybe do some stone washed blades and things like that. But I'm not too sure how well Nitro V will blacken. We're gonna find out. So I'm gonna give it a go, dude.
Good. Yeah. But record, kind of like report on that for the next episode. Because I'm curious, because
ferric acid, if I do it,
ferric acid shouldn't do it, right? You're going to have to find a different method.
Ferric acid should etch it. Yeah. I mean, it'll probably not get it black. It'll etch it though. So I'm going to look into it. I'm going to look into a couple different things, check some forums, and I'm sure some people are talking about how to do it and things like that. So, I mean, we'll see.
I mean,
I'm going to look into it.
I was going to say maybe consider the mustard patina, but I don't know if that reacts to stainless. I'm very unfamiliar with stainless. So
I don't think it would.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
look into it.
That's the whole point of getting stainless kitchen knives, is so that, condiments don't fucking change it. Okay. Interesting. Well, yeah, man. Listen, we did it. We talked the taboo today. We spit out our own prices, and we spit out other knife makers' prices too. And if anything else, it's just to educate everybody that a knife is not cheap to make, especially by hand. So
it's not that it's not cheap to make. It's just like, I feel like when you tell people the price of a knife, and they feel like they're getting fucked. Like I'm a fucking car mechanic and I'm trying to fuck you over or something like that. When in reality, like we're scraping the barrel to get minimum wage, to get a little over minimum wage out here. Like, the fuck do you guys, so some people, you just can't talk to. Some people have an attitude about it, and it's just like, bro, I'm not trying to get one over on you. It's just don't buy my knife. I don't care. Like, whatever.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think ultimately we have to be confident in our prices. And as long as us as the knife maker are confident, there is no wrong price. That's really what it comes down to. So if you know your value, don't undervalue yourself. And as long as you have the confidence to ask for it, that is the price. There's no real equation. So,
yep. The price is the price. Maybe if you're nice when you talk to me, I'll give you a deal at the show.
Yeah. And honestly, most of my knife sales are deals. I post a knife.
They are too, yeah.
160, and then someone messages me and they're like, "I really like that knife," and I'll be like, "I'll give it to you for 120." It's like they didn't even argue about the price, but just the fact that they showed interest in it. I'm like, well, then you reached out to me, you took the time to. Sure, it's cheaper then, and I'll just keep on shooting myself in the foot, you know.
Yeah, I hear you.
But it'll pay off. It'll pay off in the long run.
It will. Sure. It will, for sure.
Yeah. When we're on episode 400, we'll be able to do a new pricing episode, you know. And
yeah, nice. We'll redo this every year.
Yeah.
What are your prices now?
The annual price talk for sure, you know. And then, well, because listen, we are going to have to eventually raise our prices as we get.
I mean, the end of the year, mine might take a slight jump. I mean, it depends. It depends.
It will.
This is the year where I'm working on efficiency. I'm trying to become as efficient as I possibly can to make it worth my while. So I'm not, so I can jump up that minimum wage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be able to, like I said earlier, like, I want to be able to not only give you guys a good product, not only, you know, be happy in producing things like that. Like, I want to be able to make a living out of it, you know. I want to be able to go out and enjoy my life too.
Yeah. This isn't charity work, and we're not out here selling stock options where we just get a percentage for not doing anything. Like, we're working at all of our free time, our weekends, our late nights, we're out there working, and it's important that we address that. So I hope more knife makers are more open about talking about their prices. But I don't mean that in terms of like I want them to lower it, or just be open. We need to, as a community, embrace the fact that these are our prices. We are not ashamed of them, and what you're buying more than just a knife when you buy this stuff. So
you're buying a piece of art. You're buying you know, you're buying a piece of somebody, man. Like, you buy a handmade knife, like, somebody put their fucking heart into that shit, dude. You're buying a piece of them, buying a piece of them.
Yeah, truly. It's, you know, and that is why me and you are as far as we are now. A lot of people would have quit by now when they realized it's not fun. You know, and we see it as fun, but yeah, it's not, you know, not like sitting around playing video games. It's not that kind of fun. And
no, it's not that kind of fun.
It takes a lot of time and a lot of materials, and my whole garage has been sacrificed for it. And I mean, it's a lot, but I can't stop making them. Even if you told me I couldn't sell another knife for the rest of my life, I wouldn't be able to stop making them. So
yeah, I figure it out, dude.
Yeah.
Trade them.
Yeah. Like I said, my favorite thing to do is gift them. If I can gift my knife to someone, I think it is. It's my favorite thing to do. And even if people don't appreciate, you know, the value of what I gifted to them, just knowing that they're going to be using it is my favorite thing. And then they reach out to me. They're like, "Oh my God, I've ruined your knife. It's rusty. It's just relax. Fucking just, you know, we can easily get the rust off. I told you not to leave it in the sink, but it's okay. We'll handle this." You know, it's like I ruined the knife. It's like if a little bit of rust ruins my knives, I should just give up now. I promise you, it's not ruined. It just has rust. We'll remove it. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll take it off. But you fucking asshole. No.
No, I get it. You know, okay, so even just today, I just installed a new sink. Like I said, yesterday I had to install a new sink, and I fucking walked by it and I see my paring knife just sitting in a half-drinking cup of coffee. And I pulled it out, and there was no rusting or anything. And so I just cleaned it up, and it was all good. But it's like it's that easy. I might have even put it in there. It might have been me when I was done. I don't know. So
yeah.
Shit happens. It's fine.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
But all right, man. Let's leave it at that, I guess. And hope you get a bunch of work done this week. Definitely glad we got this episode out of the way, though, because I was definitely dreading it. It's tough. It's tough. It's always tough, but
it is. Yeah. Typically, we're meeting up in the middle of the week. We both just worked our balls off. It's 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. We have to be up at 4:30 in the morning, and it's like, but no, we got to record the podcast. So it's nice to do it on a Sunday where a little less pressure, and then for the week we can take time to work. I
focus on the knives now.
Yeah, I hope you have a lot of progress. I've been sick the past 2 weeks. I've had like the sinus infection. So honestly, putting on my respirator has been something I've been avoiding, but I'm feeling better now, and I'm excited to fucking hit it hard this week. So we should have some good reports.
Definitely. I'm excited to see the pictures.
Yeah. Everyone get ready to see my shit show of a garage and then nice knives. But
Yeah.
the messy garage is what it takes to make these knives. So remember that.
Yeah.
You guys are paying for my messy garage. That's what it is. The kiln. When I buy that kiln, is probably when my prices will go up. Because once I have a kiln, I think that'll be able to make me more efficient and more consistent and everything. So that'll be the day I put a little price. And we did it. We just hit an hour exactly. Brother, it was a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Take it easy, and everybody stay sharp.
All right, brother. Stay sharp.